Yo, what is up, everyone? Hopefully, you're having a good day in the middle of this quarantine as I'm recording this. So last video I made was a Ace Attorney case tier list, or at least the last like actual video I made, and that was received pretty well. So I thought, hey, let's do another one, but this time we're gonna do Hamilton songs. So I recently discovered Hamilton like September last year on my college campus. And the thing is just amazing. Okay, like words can't even describe it. We're gonna rank some songs with this template made by I don't even made by this. Um, I put everything in order before recording, so it'll be easier to like just kind of go along. So some some restrictions or some limitations right now. We're going original Broadway cast only and cast album only. This I have not seen the musical live, so I will not be able to like connect a live performance to what I think of each number. And if it's not on the cast album, I will not rank it. This template has a few of the just a few numbers that are not in the album. We're not going to rank them. We're just going to skip them when we go through them. How I rank each song. I mean, this is going to be very subjective. Just kind of what I think. How if it's just kind of how it sounds, like some lines, some just kind of like general quality. It's a music tier list essentially. So, and people think of music very differently. So, without further ado, we'll get started. Like I said, we're going to go in order of the show. So, starting with Alexander Hamilton, easy S tier. It's the most icon. It's one of the most. It's the top three iconic song in the show. It's the first one everyone memorizes, and it's the first one that you hear, especially when Lynn did the White House thing. You heard the teaser of Alexander Hamilton. It's just well done all around. I don't know how much in depth I should go for every song, but Alexander Hamilton is how you start a show. It's very good exposition that leads into the rest of the show, like Aaron Burr here. Um, so Aaron Burr, it's good. I like his first encounter with Burr. I like how it introduces some ideas like talk less, smile more. But the song doesn't really pick up until you meet the rest of the friends, until you meet Mulligan, Lawrence, and Lafayette. It's and obviously I didn't say this before. I might be able to put everything into the tier list, and I'll just have to switch it around if need be. For now, I think it's a B tier. It's not bad, but especially when it just segues into My Shot. My Shot is probably the most iconic song in the show. The only knack I can like have on it is that it just repeats the chorus too much, like just like my country, I'm scrappy and hungry, yada yada yada. But My Shot is just amazing. It's long, but they make it work. Um, they make it work. Every part of the song is really well done. Oh, and I should also say, I can try to put the songs in order from like, left being the best, right being like the kind of going down. That's another thing I'll have to do as I do the tier list. But My Shot is better than Alexander Hamilton. Story of Tonight, sadly, I mean, Story of Tonight's not bad. It's just like, and it gives you that like, that oasis, that kind of like calm after, My Shot. It's great in terms of like story, but in terms of just like musical stuff, it's just not the same as like the rest of the show. Schuyler Sisters, I think I'm lower on Schuyler Sisters compared to a lot of people. It's not a song that I would go around like listening to on like a walk on campus or something like that. It's still a very well done song with Angelica and Eliza and Peggy, quote unquote, like getting their time to shine. It's probably gonna be like mid to low A tier by the end of this, but Um, it's still a very good song in the first act. Farmer Refuted. So if you asked me about Farmer Refuted like however many months ago, I would give it D tier, but I think you can put it C tier, and I think it's better than Story of Tonight. I just kind of like how it's done musically, and I guess another disclaimer: I do not study music. I can't read music sheet stuff. I'm not an expert, so this is extremely subjective. But just kind of like Hamilton's rapping versus Seabury's kind of like classical esque. Like he just does the same thing for the whole number. And it segues into You'll Be Back, which is an A tier song. It's spoiler alert, the best King George song, but that's not really debated a lot. But You'll Be Back is just really good. So many funny lines. Jonathan Groff is amazing in the role. That's about it. Right Hand Man. Right Hand Man is very like I don't want to say mad, but more so middle of the pack. I don't know what to think of this song. The beginning is good, like Hamilton, wishing for a war, and then you introduce Washington. He's good. Washington's first introductions, like his first bits are good. The rest is like okay. It's like I don't know. It's basically like neck and neck with Aaron Burser as of now. Uh, so yeah, I don't know. Like I think B tier is a good place for it for now. Winter's Ball, sadly, transition number. Transition numbers are very weak in the show. Transition number is just anything that like segues is like a shorter song that just segues into another song and it segues into Helpless. Helpless and Satisfied. I don't want to spoil both. Um I think I'm lower on these two than a bunch of others. Helpless is like high B low A. Satisfied is better than Helpless. Better than Schuyler Sisters. It's close. Um, Angelica's rapping is really good. Just kind of like how Satisfied works in the plot, how it's just a rewind. Like stuff like that is cool in terms of the narrative, but again, both these songs are not stuff that I listen to like on my own time. Story of Tonight Reprise, it's basically the same. I don't really think of it differently from Story of Tonight. I can't really say if it's better or worse. They're kind of the same. I mean, they are the same thing, but just in a different sense. So I think C tier is the only option. Wait for it. It's like A borderline S. Wait for it's really good. Good Burr Soliloquy. Leslie Odom Jr. is amazing in the role. Just brings a lot of power to this song. Just kind of like setting up Burr's motivations and his thoughts that lead him to think the way he does. Wait for it's just really good, and a lot of people would agree with it. Stay Alive. Sadly, the fonts for all these are really inconsistent. Stay Alive is better than Right Hand Man. That's the first thing I'm gonna say. Stay Alive is better than Right Hand Man. Just trying to think. You have Charles Lee. I'm a General We. Um, like it's structured like Right Hand Man. It starts with Hamilton's kind of like thoughts, like he's writing. Um, it's just better. I don't know. It's like these three songs are kind of like crap fest for where they go. We'll get to these later. Ten Dual Commandments is a C tier song. It's good. It's just not. I think this and Farmer Refuted are pretty neck and neck. It's like not the best duel on the show because you don't know Charles Lee that well, so there's really not a lot of significance per se. We'll see. Meet Me Inside, another C tier song. I don't really like it. Um, I don't know. It's just like the whole calling me something. Like that's just what builds the song. It's I don't know. Meet Me Inside might even be bottom C. Like a bunch of C tier can just be interchangeable. That would be enough. I'm lower on that would be enough than like a lot of people. I think this might be low C. I don't know. It's just one of those songs that that like either introduces or reinforces a lot of the motifs so far. And like yeah, there's no action. There's not really, it's just kind of, I don't want to say somber, but it's kind of like sad, melancholy. It's not that like heavy musically. Um but that would be enough is not amazing within the scope of like the whole musically. Guns and Ships is A tier. I might actually move You'll Be Back down here. Like these three are definitely above these two. But Guns and Ships is good. A lot of people put it in S, and then I'm just like, okay, yeah, the Burr introduction is good. And then Lafayette makes the song, and then the ending, the George Washington letter. It's kind of like I shouldn't say the worst part of the song, but it's definitely the least exciting part of the song. Um, History Has Its Eyes on You is another C tier. We have a lot of C tier. The list is gonna pick up. The list is gonna pick up. Act one is not my favorite act. History Has Its Eyes on You is just a transition number, but whatever. Yorktown is S tier. It's insanely good. I shouldn't say insanely good because it's not even like the best song in the show. But Yorktown is how you end Act One without Act One ending, and we'll get to Act One ending soon. But like, if the act ended at Yorktown, it'd be I'd be satisfied with the act. What comes next is B tier. There's not a lot to say. It's a good King George song, but You'll Be Back is just better. And I mean, Groff's personality and like just what he brings to the role just still makes the song really good. It makes King George an amazing character. But yeah, again, not a lot to say. And again, I don't know how much in depth I should go with all these. This is obviously unscripted, live, whatever. Dear Theodosia, I think is like low A, high B. I like Burr's part is better than Hamilton's part. Like, I don't know. Like, if the song was just Burr, I'd be happy. But Hamilton is like, eh. Like, I get it. You're making that parallel, or the parallel, and like you're addressing the fact that Hamilton and Burr are both connected and like different, in their own ways. And Dear Theodosia's kind of like tone. It's kind of like again, it's like the tone of That Would Be Enough. It's kind of like that sad but also optimistic as the song conveys. And again, it's good. Well, I guess I have it in A tier, so it's great. But yeah. So Lauren's Interlude, I think we'll skip it. It's not in the album itself, but it's in the show. But if I were to rank it, it would definitely be above these other the story of tonight's or the stories of tonight, whatever you want to call it. It would definitely be like either I don't know, be it, again. There's a reason why it's not in the album. It's just a scene. But Lauren's like the use of Story Tonight in this part is the best use of Story Tonight in the show. So we're not gonna rank it. We're gonna skip it. Don't be mad. It's whatever. Nonstop is another S tier song. How You End Act One. I like how. I mean, it just tries to cover. So I don't know off the top of my head, but so much time chronologically from end of war to him being the Treasury Secretary. So and the song is like what 6 minutes? I don't know, like 5.5, 6 minutes. But all the parts are good. It kind of takes from My Shot, and you do you have these motifs or you have these ideas that you repeat a lot in the song. But just all the parts of Nonstops, like Burr's little introduction at the beginning, Hamilton as a lawyer, Hamilton writing the Federalist Papers, like all of this packed into like the punch that is Nonstop, really good. It's again how you end Act One. In terms of where it ranks in the S hierarchy, we'll get to it. What did I miss? Okay, this is going to be a hot take. I think what did I miss is S tier. You'll this stretch of the show you'll see is really amazing to me. Just end of Act One going into Act Two. But what I met, Jefferson is probably like my favorite character in the show that is not Hamilton. Just Jefferson's introduction, W. Diggs's personality, the exuberance, and just like the humor in what I miss is really good. Again, Burr's narration or Burr's introduction, whatever you want to call it. Um, it's just like a little jazzy vibe. Good. Cabinet Battle 1 is probably the most borderline to S that we might get. Spoiler alert, it is the superior cabinet battle. The topic is more interesting. Hamilton's both parts of the rap battle are amazing. Jefferson's intro with the Declaration of Independence quotes, and then Hamilton's rebuttal with slavery. It's amazing. It's funny. It's anything you'd ask for in a rap battle, especially in this show. I just don't. It's like very borderline us. The only weak part of it is the ending, where he talks to Washington and Jefferson and Madison tease him about votes. But yeah, take a break. Take a break is S tier. Macbeth references, kind of like the rhyming in the Macbeth references, the correspondence with Angelica. Um, Angelica eventually coming over, going upstate, yada yada yada. And I forgot, starting with the piano, introducing Philip as a character, the Philip counting, the Philip poetry, like stuff like that. Very amusing, very like I shouldn't say very cool. That's a weak adjective, but take a break musically, take a break lyrically. It's really good in the show. Say No to This is my favorite song in the show. Why? All the parts of the song are amazing in my opinion. Burr has another little introduction, but it's different because he's like, well, Hamilton can tell it because he's like the only one there. Hamilton not being able to sleep. You have Mariah Reynolds coming over, like those encounters. You have the letter from James Reynolds. All the audience is gonna laugh when Hamilton, says "fa" and then running to Mariah Reynolds' place, screaming, and then the ending, just kind of like when. Well, I mean, this is kind of like a stage thing, but because in the album you don't hear Hamilton like actually paying him, but just kind of like that, like you have that tension and just how the song ends. There's that aspect of uncertainty, and there's the like, this song is what eventually like. Well, this doesn't directly cause the downfall, but it's like the first domino in causing the downfall. So what's next? Room Where It Happens. Room Where It Happens is another S tier song. This stretch of the show is just like out of this world. The beginning is like okay because the whole discussion about General Mercer. Sorry, I didn't remember the name for a second. About General Mercer, you're like, okay, whatever. And then after like Talk Less Smile More, the song just gets better. And then Burr's just kind of like anger while like documenting the compromise. And then Hamilton roasts Burr by the end. Rumor Happens is just like, and then you just have that fanfare, the dun 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 dun, dun that just plays throughout the song. I don't know, stuff like that is just kind of like a little, I don't want to say fancy, but you get it. Rumor Happens is very good. Schuyler Defeated is probably it's probably like I mean it's better than like it's in the boat of like all the other than Primary Feuded, it's in the boat of like these four songs. The beginning I don't care about. The only even though the song's short, the beginning is not I don't care. Hamilton's conversation with Burr is like the decent thing about that song, and then the best part is probably just Burr's final line, like it goeth before the fall, and then it just segues into Cabinet Battle 2, which is the inferior Cabinet Battle. I think I don't know. It's just coming up like you living up trying to live up to Cabinet Battle 1 is so hard, and I just think Cabinet Battle 2 doesn't do it that well. I mean, there are some good and amusing parts, like, you know, Dead French King's Head, yada yada yada. The issue isn't I mean the issue isn't really that important in terms of like the characters, you know, being allied with France, because it's just a Lafayette allusion to not allusion, but like it's referring to Lafayette, an Act One character that's no longer in the show, so that the issue kind of like doesn't really matter anymore. And just like musically, I just don't like, you know, I just it just doesn't feel the same as Cabinet Battle One. And just kind of comparing those two, Cabinet Battle Two is the inferior one. Washington on Your Side. Okay, this one's hard to rank because it's kind of like I don't know. The instrumental is kind of like I don't want to say the same thing over and over again, but you have that. It's basically a motif at this point, what I would call like the Democratic Republican motif, like the dun dun dun, and but I just like Jefferson so much as a character. I think it's either a low A or high B. I'll put it high B for now. You know, Southern motherfucking Democratic Republicans. You know, some of those good lines. Just make Washington on any side pretty fun to listen to. Um, like casually, like walking or whatever. One Last Time is another very difficult song to rank because I don't know if you asked me when I first listened to Hamilton, it was like meh, but then I started listening to it more and I got more like emotionally attached to the song. I still don't really like reading like when they read the address, it just kind of takes away some of, you know, the rhyming, the style. But like the bombastic ending warrants either like a low A. It's a low A or high. It's another low A high B song. I'll put it low A for now. But again, like a bunch of these like Act Two songs are fairly hard to rank. I know him. I think it might just be the same tier as What Comes Next. They might as well just be the same thing. I know him. I think it's shorter, but it's relatively amusing. I don't know. I mean, just kind of like this is how King George's character ends in terms of like song. I don't know. Not a whole lot to say. Adams administration. Okay, so this would be interesting to talk about if we were going off Broadway, but since this Adams administration doesn't have the rap, I have to put a D tier. If this was Adams administration with the rap, we're talking like B tier. But no, they cut the rap, and that angers me because I'd rather listen to off Broadway with the rap. I mean, Adams administration is literally like 50 seconds, and most of it's just Burr exposition. Again, not a whole lot to say. It's another just transition song that's fairly well. That was originally strong in concept, but going into Broadway, it kind of got the boot. We Know, I think, is really underrated. We Know is actually good. It's an A tier song. Everyone, all the Democratic Republicans walking into the office. Hamilton just kind of questioning why they're there, and then they bring up Reynolds, and then Hamilton's rebuttal is probably my favorite part of the song, or Hamilton's defense, I should say, and just kind of like again, just the rhymes. We Know is Really good. Hurricane. This might be my hottest take of the list. I think Hurricane is borderline S tier. I think it barely cracks it. I just think the Hamilton soliloquy works so well in this situation, and I think just the meaning of the song is just more powerful because we're getting into the end of the show, and he's just reflecting on basically everything that the audience learned in Alexander Hamilton. And he's like, yeah, this is why I'm here. This is what I can do. This is how I can save myself. And then he writes Reynolds Pamphlet, which is another high B low A song. I think just like kind of the EDM electric pop stuff. I think that style works really well. And obviously everyone, the you're not going to be president now. And then his confrontation with Angelica is really good, which became congratulations, which just we're going to say we're not ranking. We're not going to rank congratulations, sadly. Congratulations would go into Reynolds pamphlet. But I like again, if you asked me this a while ago, I'm like Reynolds pamphlet is relatively weak, but then it's just really catchy. It's one of the catchiest songs in the show for what it does. Like I said, we're not doing congratulations because it's not on Broadway album. Burn is another S tier song. Another soliloquy with Eliza. Just Philippa Sue's voice is really good. Her Eliza is amazing in the show. It just sucks that this song. The only bad part about the song is just kind of like plot wise, it just kind of gets overturned by Quiet Uptown and Best of Wives, Best of Women later. So like you're really struck with emotional appeal here. You're like, oh, the relationship's over, it's done, and then it just kind of gets revived later. So, but Burn as it's like Burn on its own is a top 10 song in the show. Just like the power behind it is like you get really invested into the character and the relationship. Oh, we will not rank Dear Theodosia reprise. My bad. Blow Us All Away. Okay, Blow Us All Away is hard to rank. I have a general area. The beginning is good. I like the whistling. But that's kind of like a minor thing about the song. I like the whistling. The beginning is a little slow, and then it picks up when he goes into the theater to confront Eker, and then it kind of like, depending on how you think about it, it kind of either slows down or it picks back up when he talks to Alexander. And then the duel is like, again, this duel is okay but you're not emotionally attached to Eker whatsoever. I think it's another like high B song. I think this is a good place for it. Again, it's hard to say my thoughts about every song off the top of my head, but if you have some idea of what I'm talking about with Blow Us All Away, Stay Alive reprise. Hmm. It's short. The beginning is slow because it's just that conversation with the doctor. There's not a whole lot there. It's obviously not as good as Stay Alive, Vanilla, or Original, whatever you want to call it. It honestly might be like high C, low B. I might actually put it C. It's just, yeah, we get it. Philip dies. The counting is reinforced here. But other than that, there's not a whole lot of meat in the song itself. There's not a lot of value. Quiet Uptown, okay, might be another hot take. Especially if you asked me however many months ago, I did not think Quiet Uptown was that good. And again, like I said with Burn, Quiet Uptown and kind of like the later Eliza Hamilton interactions just debunk everything that Burn did. Yes, we get it. Quiet Uptown is super melancholy, super sad, super tragic, and that was probably the reason why I didn't like it. It was just not like it's probably a B tier song in my opinion. I think it's like it might be like high B. Like again, all these songs are basically interchangeable. I get it. Yes, you get Hamilton's super sad, and I mean even though you don't see it, Eliza just kind of stands there. Eliza doesn't do a lot till the end. But I don't like Quiet Uptown as much as a lot of people do. And then we get back to politics with the election of 1800, which, if you asked me however many months ago, this was another borderline S. I think it can go here. Election of 1800 is actually really cool, and I like how it's done. Because again, what starts with Jefferson, and Burr campaigns, and Hamilton just kind of comes back. Like they adjust how Hamilton was gone, and then he comes back, and then his endorsement of Jefferson. Oh no, and then you even have those scenes with the townspeople or with the like just the citizens that like you would either vote for Jefferson or vote for Burr. I don't know. Election of 1800 is a weird one to describe. It's really well done, actually. Your obedient servant. Your obedient servant, even though it's short, I actually really like your obedient servant as well. I think your obedient servant can be like an A tier song. I almost liked it better in off Broadway, but obviously we're not ranking it off based off of off Broadway album. Just the letters correspondence. I like the wordplay. I like the your obedient servant at the end of the letters, and how it just again the only problem is just kind of like plot related because the whole conflict between Hamilton and Burr. While you get like yes, Hamilton and Burr are similar yet different. I feel like the conflict in the play just kind of escalates so quickly in this song. But just the instrumental, it conveys the seriousness, the risks at hand, the consequences that would happen if Hamilton doesn't take action in some sort of way. But I don't know, a lot of people kind of shit on it, and I disagree. Best of Wives, Best of Woman is I don't know if it's the worst transition number in the show. It's another 50-second thing, and it's just again, this is probably the biggest exception or like the biggest like blow to Burn because you had Burn and then you have however many songs later you have this and then it's like oh nothing happened. But again, there's no me. It's just that same. I mean, they modify the musical piece or they modify the I don't know theme. Again, I'm not. Depends on how you look at music. But the theme that they use in Quiet Uptown, they just make it more playful. Like they dun 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 whatever. Again, I'm going off of this at the top of my head, so my recollection might not be perfect. But you know what I'm talking about. I kind of like that instrumental. That might be the only good part about it, but there's nothing else that I really like about the song. World was wide enough. Okay, this is another one that I've seen people rank kind of low. I think it's at least an A tier song. I think it might be next to Your Obedient Servant, honestly. The best part is obviously the Hamilton soliloquy, and if you think otherwise, whatever. The Hamilton soliloquy, even though it's just yes, people, including me, would say it's just motif floodgates. It's just Hamilton repeating literally everything that was addressed in the show. But there's just that power, like him not being able to see Eliza again until Eliza dies. It's just very powerful. You sense Burr's kind of regret after he shoots Hamilton. The whole line about like Theodosia being like he's not gonna let his daughter be an orphan or what have you. Like that gets you emotionally invested. Um, again, weak part of the song is probably the ending. I mean, I like how they do the counting 1 through 10 like the other duels, but this one it has like more value, more like again you're more emotionally invested. The ending is probably the weakest part. I mean, again, like I said, even though Burr's grief is like you feel it as an audience member, it's I don't know. Just in comparison with the rest of the song, the ending is a little bit weak. and that's why it kind of just stays in A tier. Who Lives, Who Dies, Who Tells Your Story. So again, another one of the songs where if you asked me however many months ago, I was not high on it. I don't know. It's very powerful. The only reason why it would rank good for me is Eliza's part. Everything else is just kind of like but Eliza's just brings so much value. It's probably high below A. I'll be dead honest. Again, it's not one of those songs I would like listen to for fun, especially since it's at the end of the show. But Eliza's lines are really good. But it's again, I am emotionally invested in the show and in the characters. I just I don't know. I'm kind of a side note, but Washington is like my least favorite one, of, like my least favorite somewhat important character in the show. And just like how the song starts with him, I kind of already lose a little bit because I'm like, well, he's been gone since one last time. I don't really care about the character anymore. And then he comes back, and I'm like, oh, you're just repeating what you said, and history has its eyes on you. It's just kind of like another one of those motif floodgates. And I think it's a good finale. I think it's a great finale to the show. I just don't think it ranks in comparison to like these other numbers. And with that, we end the tier list. Let's see if I want to put them in order. So yes, my favorite song is "Say No to This." Um, Yorktown would go like here probably. I think my S tier. I think what? How many do I have in here? One, two, three. So these are my top. So fittingly, we have 10 in last year. So these are like my top 10 favorite songs in the show. A tier, so a cabinet battle, action, guns and ships, wait for it. These four are almost interchangeable. I do think cabinet battle 1 is the most borderline to S I will get. Schuyler Sisters says, I almost want to put We Know higher because I just like it more. Other than that, I think A tier is fine as it is. B tier, again, a lot of these are interchangeable. Stay Alive, I think, might be better than these two. Aaron Burr, I think, is better than these two. Hopeless is probably better. And the rest I think are fine. C tier, yeah, I think I'm fine with this, and then D, whatever. So let me know what you think. I'm probably gonna get crucified for a bunch of these opinions. Let me know what your opinions are. Fill out your own template, comment, like, do whatever. I might do more of these tier list videos if you ever request. Just comment it. And yeah, that probably does it. So thank you for watching and dealing with me ranting. I could have done this in so much more detail, like just analyzing song by song. But yeah, thanks for watching.